Welcome back, detectives. Samantha Smartypants here, and today we are diving into part 2 of our Explainer series. We're expanding our toolkit to crack the code on a massive universe of words, all using the incredibly powerful root COSM. You know, whether you're staring down a huge, intimidating vocabulary list, or you just want to sound a little more brilliant in your next essay, understanding the actual DNA of words, that is your ultimate superpower. So we're going to build on exactly what we learned last time, mastering a whole new set of skills today using just 4 little letters. Let's get into it.
Okay, here's our rookie training checklist for part 2. We'll do a quick review on breaking words down, power up with some prefixes, explore super suffixes, do a little classroom fieldwork, and then finish it all off with an epic spelling bee boss battle.
Starting right off with Section 1, Word Detective Training, Cracking That Basic Code.
So, picture this. You're reading a really challenging book, or maybe taking a tough science test, and suddenly you encounter this giant, intimidating word in the wild. How do you actually figure out what it means without asking for help or grabbing a dictionary? Look, memorizing every single word in the English language is literally impossible, but memorizing a few secret codes, now that is entirely doable. And the secret here is finding the root. Our mentor today is COSM. It's a core building block passed all the way down to us from ancient Greek, and it literally means world, universe, or order. So once you spot COSM hiding inside a word, you instantly know that word has something to do with the world or the wider universe. Honestly, it's just like finding a fingerprint at a crime scene.
Word deduction is basically just math, right? By breaking words down into their prefix, root, and suffix equations, we solve their meaning. For instance, if we take our root COSM and just add the suffix ology, we get the science or study of the universe. Take COSM and snap on the suffix not, and it literally equals a world sailor, which gives us the modern meaning, a space traveler. And look at this last one. Combining COSM with polit, which means citizen, plus the suffix an, well, that gives us a worldly international citizen.
All right, let's move on to Section 2, Prefix Power, and how we can change the world. Prefixes attach right to the front of a word, and they can totally change our world. This brilliantly illustrates how opposites work in word building. If you snap the prefix micro onto COSM, you create a microcosm, literally a miniature world or a tiny example of a much larger system. But swap that out for the prefix macro, and suddenly you have a macrocosm. That represents the large world, the whole universe, the grand system. One tiny prefix block literally shifts our entire scale from a single drop of water to the whole galaxy.
And we have all these other prefix power-ups we can snap onto COSM to make completely new concepts. Adding eco gives us a home world, referring to our living environment. Tele creates a far world, which is super useful for distance-related ideas. Geo plus COSM creates Earth-centered ideas. Pan means all, so a pancosm suggests the entire worldwide system. And trans means across, pointing to movement across the world. Just by swapping that first puzzle piece, we completely rewrite the word's meaning. Next up, Section 3, Super Suffixes, the endings that matter.
So word endings act as these major clues that tell us exactly how a word is meant to be used. If you see ology, boom, it's an academic word meaning the study of. If a word ends in graphy, you instantly know it involves writing, mapping, or describing. Endings like ik or al turn our root into adjectives. Think cosmic or cosmological, meaning related to the world. And if you spot ist, isian, or not, you're looking at a person, a scientist, a citizen, a voyager. Oh, and don't forget ism, which points to a system, doctrine, or belief, like cosmism.
Let's take this into the real world with Section 4, COSM in the Classroom, doing some fieldwork across our subjects.
Whether you are charting the academic study of cosmology in your science or physics class, or maybe analyzing how a small town is a microcosm for society and English literature, or even mapping cosmopolitan cities in geography, our root COSM is everywhere. You'll literally even find it in chemistry when discussing cosmic dust floating around in space. And hey, here's a really surprising fact for you. Even the word cosmetology is historically connected to this root. It developed from the ancient Greek idea of cosm, representing order and beauty. Understanding just this one single root bridges the gap between almost every subject you take.
All right, detectives, Section 5, the Advanced Spelling Bee Challenge. This is the final boss battle.
The crucial point for beating the spelling bee is just following 4 simple deduction steps instead of blindly memorizing a giant list of confusing letters. First, you listen to the pronunciation. Second, break down the word into its prefix, root, and suffix chunks. Third, recall the memory trick for the tricky parts. And finally, spell it out with total confidence. Let's practice one.
Let's test it out. You hear the judge say cosmography, pronounced cosmography. Okay, that sounds terrifying. But wait, you break it into chunks, cos-o-graphy. You already know COSM means world, and you remember the trick that graphy means writing or mapping. So instead of a messy jumble of letters, you're really just writing world mapping. Cosmography, boom, you completely nailed the spelling.
Let's try an even longer one. Cosmopolitan, pronounced cosmopolitan. Now that middle section trips up so many people. But remember this major memory trick right here. If you know it means a worldly citizen of the world, that long, tricky middle part, P-O-L-I-T, makes perfect sense because it's the exact same root we use for words like politics or metropolis, meaning citizen or city. Cosmopolitan. See? Easy.
Let's break down some of our rarest, trickiest boss words. Take a look at cosmogony, the origin story of the universe. It is literally just cos plus gony, which means birth. Or what about a massive word like cosmocracy? Piece of cake if you know crazy, like in democracy, just means rule. So, rule of the world. Cosmogenesis, just world plus genesis, meaning origin or creation. By focusing on the puzzle pieces, the spelling reveals itself completely naturally.
Now that you are an official word detective who has fully mastered the entire COSM family tree, I really want you to think about this. If just 4 little letters can unlock this entire universe of vocabulary across science, history, and literature, what other hidden codes are out there waiting for you to crack? Keep those magnifying glasses handy, detectives, because every single word has a secret history just waiting to be discovered. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning,